the next session, which is very, very interesting because we have with us somebody who got into the medical field, right? And then was a little lost. God knows why. But then he got inspired as a young student to say, let's not only learn medicine, but we learn medicine to save the world at large. So here is Dr. Flight Lieutenant Balasubrahmanya, who joined the Air Force, served the Air Force as a medical doctor, came out of it, and rejoined the Swami Vivekananda youth movement that he was part of when he was a student. And more importantly, he has made a huge impact not only in the tribals of HD Kote, but also through several interactions with several groups, including the government of India, by enabling them to come up with a lot of schemes in the world of public health. Right? He has been the pioneer of it, and he has made a big difference in it. So, Dr. Balasubrahmanya right now is an advisor to Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement. And having said that, I'd like to welcome him. Please give him a big round of applause. Welcome, sir. Your 18 minutes or 20 minutes is here for you. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. How many of you are awake now? I find only 6 hands up, so the rest of them are not awake. Well, thank you. I'm quite used to people sleeping because I'm an anesthetist. Okay. So, Dr. Mohan just introduced about our journey as a group of doctors who started off Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement when we were all 17 to 19 years of age in Mysore Medical College. And that was way back in 1984. And what triggered, he said, is that probably Vivekananda probably knocked our hearts much more stronger than what the other things could venture us on to. I would like to talk about our own journey with respect to what rural seva is and what has Swami Vivekananda's principles actually helped us out. But more important, I would like to look at what is the current context of things. So if you look at this, our journey has been 40 years old and has been carrying on for the last 40 years. And some of it might be relevant to you, some of it may not be relevant to you also, because the context has changed. But I would like to distill our own experiences to say what exactly is what we feel today is more contextual from Swami Vivekananda's philosophy. How many of you know Sustainable Development Goals? Few. Fantastic. So the world came together in 2015 and we all agreed that we are going to have 17 goals and by 2030 we are going to achieve it. And rest assured, if India does not achieve, world cannot achieve, because 1/6 of the world stays in India. So we make a big difference in this world. To make a big difference in this world, where are we today? If I look at this one, we are just 112th position out of 166 nations. This is 2023. So if you look at that, traditionally, I've lifted on this one, all the green arrows, there are only 2 things that the green arrows seems to be showing. One is with respect to hunger, which we have definitely reduced, so there is a significant improvement in indices. And also in consumption, which we are quite eloquent and elevated about. So these are 2 things which we are definitely up. But there are a lot of other issues that are actually haunting us. The most important thing that I would look at is the inequality report, which was very recently released also, the 2023 report. If you look at, the report says this. I didn't want to go into all the details. It took only 2 components of it. If you say the full population of India, the top 1% actually has a wealth of 33% of India. And if I make it 10%, it is 64.6% of the wealth is with those top 10%. In fact, the report says India has the highest inequity in this world, and we are in that stage. Okay. This is true because global takes 70%. So that means if you are at 64.6%, we are better off than many other parts of the world. Okay. So the inequity is quite high. In other words, as we grow up in the development ladder, going up into the goal, reaching out to the goals, we are increasingly becoming more and more inequitable. Not only that, if you look at the current climate action seems to be in the top of everybody's agenda. And every day, I don't think a newspaper is printed without something on climate action. Some comment somewhere in some part of the world every day. If you look at this, very strangely, while we talk about all the different schemes and we always blame the rural for everything, you find that the top 1% contributes 32.4 per capita greenhouse gases. So if I look at the total carbon dioxide emission per capita, the highest is by the top 10%. Or in fact, so the top 1% contributes 32.5, the top 10% 8.3. In fact, the majority, more than 50% where we live, the bottom of the pyramid, contribute only 1%. But all our actions are this one. So if you look at the 1995 to 2014 graph, you can see the red going up, which is the richer class, and our rural coming down. So if you're looking at these sort of indices, what does it say? Basically, as we keep developing, we keep separating it out. Means we are getting isolated. We are becoming discriminatory. And when you look at the major issues, you have inequity, we have gender insensitivity, we have poor ethics in everything, including market, and climate change. These are 4 challenges that you say. Well, what is the remedy for it? The remedy is not more industries. That's the Vivekananda's way. Swamiji's greatest thought has always been in terms of building people. In fact, people build nations. In fact, even when somebody quoted him about freedom struggle, why they are not taking a plunge, he said, where are people to safeguard that freedom? So unless people are there, nothing is going to change. And where are the people? Today we are talking about a gross enrollment ratio even in the lunchtime. And we are all talking about everybody coming into the school. We have almost reached 100% in primary school, while we are struggling with around 26 to 35 range in higher education. But what are we doing? Rural areas, if you look at, still form the major share of our population. Not only major share, it is the largest geography of India. But what differentiates it is the density of the population is much lower in rural areas compared to urban areas. And you require everything, whether it's infrastructure, processes, technology to reach or more important to people. Everything you talk about is there. We as Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, because it was in so Swamiji, we called it Swami Vivekananda, because all of us were in the age group of 17 to 19 years, we called it youth. And we hoped that it will carry on beyond our generation, and that's why we called it movement. And that's how the nomenclature came in, Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement. When we ventured into rural areas, we were trying to unlearn everything that we learned in urban areas. So I'm reminded of Swamiji's famous thought. Bring light to the poor and bring more light to the rich, for they require more than the poor. Bring light to the ignorant and more light to the educated, for the vanities of the education of our time are tremendous. What are the important issues that actually catalyzes our thought processes today in the system? Basically, the first thing that happens to us is know-all attitude, and standing on a pedestal and throwing everything on them and looking down upon every other person just because they can't speak a fluent English at any given point of time. Did Swamiji accept this? So we need to realize what exactly was happening. So when we all went into the rural areas, that was in the year 1987, we went there. And when we went there, we thought that we were going to be garlanded and welcomed. We are all medical doctors and we had nothing else other than medical knowledge. And all that we knew was to prescribe pills and excise lumps. Nothing else we knew. Because the first day in the medicine, we only get into seeing the cadaver. The second period, we start looking at frogs. We never look at human beings in their life initially. And then we get to become so technologists and technocrat that we start forgetting about all the sociology, the demography, the economic, the empathy. All those things are well spoken of, but very few would be able to absorb it because nothing is actually transacted. So we entered there. So we thought that we could, in fact, I still remember my own story of getting into a mobile vehicle way back in 1988, driving down into this one and expecting that I would see 40 patients over there. And when I go into the mobile unit, you know that it is a sparsely, I would say, populated area. Though it is the largest taluk, the maximum forested area of Mysore district, maybe in Karnataka also. So if you're looking at that, I go there, I stop the vehicle, and I find nobody. And I have a driver. And I have to go back to and tell my friends that I saw 40 patients. Okay. And all of them were eagerly waiting for me. Okay. But what is there? Nobody. But my ego did not permit me to stay quiet. I said, just horn, sound the horn. Because I thought, because they didn't hear the sound of my vehicle, so maybe they will hear by sound of the horn. Nobody came. Then, by that time, both the heat of the summer as well as my heat of the internal ego also had triggered, and I had already started perspiring. So, but I had to do something. I got down and I start walking up. I saw the first hut. I suddenly saw it was locked. What was the lock? There was a latch and one bamboo stick was there. So I said, wow, nobody's there. So next, same state. By the fourth house, I suddenly had some relief because there was no bamboo stick on it. So that means somebody is inside there. So I slowly pushed it. The moment I pushed it, a frail voice, an old woman spoke. She said, who is that? She asked in Kannada. Yarappa. And they said, I asked her, Aji, what has happened? How are you? No, then she said, I had difficulty in breathing. I'm sleeping here only. So I got inside. I thought I got one patient at least now. So then I asked, where are the others? So the response that came from was very simple. She said, they all were fit enough to work. I don't say they were all fit, but they were fit enough to work. As long as they're able to work, they carry on with their life. Only when I'm incapacitated to the level that I can't even get up and go, that is the time I would seek a Medicare. Now that you have come, first have a cup of tea. I said, what tea? No. I was already perspiring. Then she said, can I give you some water? Suddenly I started realizing experiencing a different feeling. I thought I was going there to serve them, but I seem to have got served all the time. And she, in her own ailment, with such sort of distress, was ready to offer me tea, ready to offer me nectar. So, this is the vanities that we learn in education, and that is the experience that we go through, and the life tempers it as we move forward. Well, as we move forward, there are a lot of things that we could work on. Sorry. Can you just put it on this one? Yeah, thank you. So, then when we entered this one, we started a small dingy, we were given a dilapidated building by the sericulture department. there was a 2-roomed place in Brahmagiri, which was in HT Kote Taluk in Mysore district. No Brahma had built, because the DC of the Mysore was Brahmadatta, and because he created that notion that all tribals should live together, and he put all the 4 ethnic groups of Betakuruba, Jainukuruba, Yaravas, Bundes, Soligas all to be together. So then he named the colony, because it was his concept to come or bring all together, saying that I'll break all barriers of ethnicity, caste, creed, everything. And he brought them. He retired as Home Secretary of India. Okay. He decided that it should be named after him. So Brahmagiri it became. Okay. We were there in Brahmagiri and we started in a lab. So what we learned as we went through is, the first thing that we realized was, unless we feel for the people, there is no way people will be connecting with us, and nothing we would be able to deliver to them. So the primary recipe for anything to transform is your feeling. And Swamiji reiterates it in no uncertain terms. He said, any work has to go through the first stage of feeling. So feel, my children, feel for the poor, feel for the ignorant, feel for the downtrodden, feel this one. Till your heart stops and the head reels, you have to feel. Only then you will have the indomitable energy to come forward. Now, just feeling is not enough. All of us feel a lot. We become sympathetic on many issues. But as we moved forward, we realized that we were giving medicine every day. We used to have 40 to 50 patients. All of them used to come with all scabies, pyoderma, all skin infections, diarrheal disease, running nose, etc. And each time we treated them, they used to be apparently healthy, cured of that problem. 15 days to 20 days, they come back with the same problem. That was the time when we started debating and deliberating on Swamiji's thoughts further. And then we suddenly realized that we were actually killing bacteria and viruses and not treating human beings as Swamiji actually thought of building people. So what did they do? So we thought we need to actually educate them and empower them. So how do you educate? We are all 22 years of age. We can't go to the chieftains and talk to them. We are not even sure. And the tribals had a very unique feature. They never were violent, thankfully. But the passive resistance is more powerful. Do you know it? And in fact, we won the freedom struggle with that. Okay, they nod their head for everything and do nothing. Okay, that was a great challenge for us to this one. So we thought the next generation kids might be a much better option for us. And then we started hunting for those children who were in the age group of 5 to 6 years. We had a cow shed and we started a small school there. And we were doctors in the morning, teachers in the afternoon. And whatever we knew in this one, we were started teaching. And then we thought that no children were coming. We started preparing ragi balls. And the ragi balls helped us to get few children. And it was a quid pro quo for us, retaining 28 children, basically because they ate the ragi balls and they had to listen to us. Okay. And this school, tribal residential school, today is 568 children up to class 10. And we have every tribal colony, 122 tribal colonies, we have one 10th standard passed girl at least in every place. So we now have all professionals working in all locations from these rural and tribal areas there. So this transformation from not mere medicine, but look at education. And not only medicine, but also health determinants like water, sanitation, hygiene, nutrition, housing. So we went there as doctors prescribing pills, but slowly started realizing that as we thought more and felt more about them and thought more about the work that we did, and we realized that there are many things that they. So when we started education, we thought that we have cracked the formula. Then we realized they did not have meal for the next. So then we went back and started distributing cotton seeds to them, started training them in sericulture, started training them in agriculture. How foolish we could be. Medical doctors teaching sericulture, bakery, agriculture. Not a one of us owned half a, I would say, gunta of land. And we were talking about it. This is because the arrogance that education gave us, that we could study anything in English and go and rattle it out this one. And because we could say, we said we are all experts. Nothing changed. They were all nodding their heads, nothing changed. Then we thought we are better facilitators. So we got the CSRTI to come, the CFTRIs to come. They all started taking this one and because they had more wisdom. So now we are working in health, education, socio-economic empowerment. So today I can say that we are reaching about 3 million people across the state of Karnataka in all the 31 districts. And we have 9 institutions which require a 100-bed hospital. So this thinking process, basically I'm telling you, this is where Swamiji's next approach of Seva comes. There you have to work on the 3H principles. First, feel with your heart, but think with your head, but deliver with your hand. So the 3H principle came in. But this 3H principle will be only effective when we follow the 3P principle. And the 3P principle is, first and the foremost, then, your core should be that purity, the pure thought that we are here to do that service. So what is that work and service differentiation? The only differentiation as Swamiji's thought processes ignite is any work done with an attitude of gratitude automatically elevates itself to a seva. So if you're talking about a work and you have a gratitude to the purpose and the people that you take on, it transforms itself into seva. And with that purity, when you look at, you still have to be patient. Things don't change overnight. To get from 28 children, in fact, we ran a mobile education unit for 3 years. And what was the education? We used to take teachers. We used all the best of the technology that the urban education has attracted us to. So we got the solar panel on the bus. We fixed up a TV inside, solar power on and this was done in 1995. I'm not talking about today's solar. Those days solar was very, very far and few, and we had to go to Shell Renewables to get that at that point of time. So we put that, and we had hooks on the windows to hang all the charts. The dicky, the trunk of this one and the hat rack was all taking these things, the education materials. The bus was running along the road, pick up children wherever they are standing in front of the colonies, go and stop near any of the pond or the lake or underneath a tree, take the mat out, deliver everything, and then subsequently, once we are actually done with this one, while the driver goes and cooks some pulses or egg or anything, that is the midday meal being served, teach the children till that time. By around 2 o'clock, after the meals, take the children back, drop them all around. 183 children joined the school after that. So the issue was, we was talking about pedagogical differences. So as Swamiji himself says, when mountain cannot come to Muhammad, Muhammad has to go to mountain. And so this requires patience, this requires perseverance there. All these things doesn't come on a like this one. Any work, when we started our work in the college, we were all BSWs. We were bloody social workers. No course was BSW was there in 1980s. Okay, everybody used to call us BSWs, and we didn't know what BSW was. Then somebody in the hostel told you we are all bloody social workers. Okay, this stage of ridicule then moves into the stage of resistance, when people resist, comment, hurt, and we have faced resistance at all levels, whether it's politics, whether it's caste, whether it's the staff. There are all types of dynamics. When you're able to persevere with that also, which is given by the pure faith that you have. Swamiji says faith in yourself is more important than faith in the 33 million gods that you have. Only then that we will be able to withstand it. And proudly we can say that we could withstand that at that point of time, and we could carry on for the last 40 years without paying 1 rupee bribe in our life in this country. And so the question is the faith. So this resistance, once it is there, then the third thing will come is acceptance. That's why Janoththana Trust wants me here. Because the stage of ridicule, the stage of resistance, and the stage of inevitable stage of acceptance come if we brave the storm for the first two things. Lastly, I would only end up with one important thing. What we go there as to do service, we learn a lot. And more important than that, we think that we are serving, we are learning all the time. We also engage with a lot of wisdom. In fact, if I go back to the tribals, absolutely no orphan in the tribals, no beggars amongst the tribals. Every woman is safe. Okay. And the sensitivity they have with respect to anything that nature and the core values of nation. A 10th standard girl would refuse a chocolate offered by an invigilator for a correct answer because she gets up and says, I didn't know the answer. He muttered the answer, but he was not bold enough to say it aloud. But I only said it aloud, give the chocolate to you. Okay, this is Arpita from 10th standard, a Jenu Kuruba girl, which the mainstream population calls it primitive tribal girl. And she is a BSc nurse today. And that's the value system. So when we go over there, we realize there is a lot of things that we can learn from them. It's basically we realize we are only there to economically empower, but socio-culturally, spiritually, physically, they're much more wiser than all of us. So thank you very much.
So the doctor took us on a flight of trying to get us off our big egos that we have. And he gave a very interesting formula. If you as teachers can really understand it, he said, in order to get the tribals interested, he used to give them the ragi balls, right? And then in the process, he kind of imparted some education and learned a lot of things in return. Now out here in these formal colleges and other places, the students give the big ragi ball to the teachers and the teachers impart education, all right? But then I think somewhere along the line, in order to do Vivekananda Seva, this is what we have to learn from rural India. And like you said, we need to accept that world that our ego is the big bloat, big boulder sitting in the way of understanding the reality. Anyway, it was a very nice conversation, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of Vivekananda Janoththana Trust and Amma institutions, I'd like to thank you and request you to accept our humble offering. He has picked up this habit of late.